Snapchat is still the go-to marketing platform for your business to reach people between 15 and 34 years of age, with its user base of 850 million active monthly users. And with Snap Ads being a simple and budget-friendly ad platform, it's a great choice for small businesses to reach their ideal millennial and Gen Z audience. So in today's full step-by-step tutorial, we'll cover everything new to the Snap Ads platform, including the newly rebuilt Snap Pixel for better ad tracking, optimal account setup, and ad optimization strategies to help set up the most effective Snap Ads possible to grow your business. So the goal of this video is to be the only go-to resource and tutorial you need to create effective Snap Ads. If this all sounds good to you, drop a like and subscribe. It's always appreciated. And let's get right into creating effective Snap Ads together. First up from this page here, you definitely want to start by clicking the link in the description box below, because that magic link will take you right here and will give you free ad credit to start advertising. So I've actually partnered with Snapchat to help you double your ad credit for this tutorial. So you can use the link below to opt into a spend a certain amount to get a certain amount of free ad credit. Most of these options will double your ad credit or give you even more than double. So you can only gain that credit when starting a new account through the link below. So don't miss out on that opportunity while you can, because you could reach a whole lot more Snapchat users for the same budget. So from that link right there, all you need to do is click on create an ad and you'll just create an account here. It's also worth entering your website URL at this stage, because Snapchat can actually pull in the assets on your website onto the platform. So that will help you save time when creating your ads. And this will give you more options as well when we build your ads together. Now, the next step is when you're given the option of instant create or advanced create, you can choose the first to keep things pretty simple. However, I'll be taking you through the more advanced process in this video, which offers a lot more flexibility and control. But let's first hop onto manage ads, because it's important you get used to the new account overview of this ad platform. This dashboard is where you'll be able to see your ads and data as soon as your ads get rolling. And that top left menu is also the main navigation for your account. So let's walk through the various key tools that we'll be using. Asset tools cover the assets you use to create your Snap ads. So that includes event sources, audiences, pixels to track traffic, Snap ad ID, so you can track app conversions from ads, and then catalogs where you manage your products that you can plan to advertise. Next, we have the creative section that contains all the fun stuff you create that your audiences will interact with. It includes the creative library where your ads will be listed, and also includes lens folders, the handy video editing tool, and a Snap lens builder for more advanced campaigns. And then moving over here, we have the all-important analyze section, which is where you can dive into audience insights, customize reports, and the campaign lab where you can experiment with split tests, which we'll cover later in this tutorial. And then finally, there is the business section where you can manage all your billing, admin, and account details, including those free ad credits. They'll pop up here. So coming back to the manage ads dashboard, we'll also just scroll down and look at these sections here. Campaigns is where you create, view, and manage your various ad campaigns, each of which will have a different objective. And then ad sets allow you to segment your approach within each campaign. So here's where you can define distinct target audiences, bidding strategies, and placements. And then in ads, you'll be able to create and manage each individual ad and the creative. So we'll go over campaign objectives shortly, but first let's start the new Snap Ads Pixel setup, because this is super important. So the Snap Ads Pixel tracks the actions people take when they're clicking through from an ad. You can set this to track events like page views, purchases, signups, and so on. The Pixel's been reworked lately to give you more finely honed insights, and you really don't want to miss out on any data that help you calibrate your ad campaigns. And basically, Snapchat has rebuilt the Snap Pixel to ensure more accurate signal tracking. And so to create a new pixel, you're just going to go to your top left menu and select pixels, or you can also create one from Events Manager. You can either choose pixel code to get base code to add to your website, or you can choose partner integration if you have an account with platforms like BigCommerce, Shopify, or Google Tag Manager. So for example, if you have a Shopify store, which I know that many of you do have, all you need to do is download the Snap Ads app and then connect the two, and Snapchat will guide you through the process when you select that option. Once you've set up your pixel, it's also important to know that we'll be using that pixel data for retargeting strategies. So if you haven't come across retargeting before, this is an advertising technique you can use when someone has interacted with your website, but ultimately doesn't make a purchase, download, or whatever action you want them to take. The pixel can then segment these people who interacted but didn't convert, so you can show that select group of people a targeted follow-up ad or a deal. It basically helps nudge them along that journey to make that final decision and conversion. So now we're going to move on to actually building your first campaign with your ad credit so you can get your brand, products, or services out there to the big Gen Z and millennial groups. So as I mentioned, when you go to create an ad, you can either start with Instant Create or Advanced Create. And Instant Create is your, very simple guided option, which can be great for beginners. But since you're watching this tutorial, I'm going to help you go with a better route, in my opinion, which is Advanced Create. The reason we're clicking this option is that we can get much more granular with our choices and better optimize our ads. There's no advanced strategies involved with this. It's still fairly straightforward. So we'll go over each step and explain how and why it makes a difference. So it's really easy to get overwhelmed with your objective choices, but at this early point, I think it's worth asking yourself, what your goal is for the campaign that you're setting up, because I know a lot of you will have different ad campaigns, different businesses and different services that you're trying to sell. So you need to ask yourself, what is the goal of this campaign that you're setting up? If you're completely new to Snap Ads and you're not sure, then my recommendation is to find as many new customers as possible, and I'll show you the best way to do this in a moment. But sometimes the key objective for a campaign might be to retarget people who have already interacted with your website, to show your ads to those who have considered or added a product to the cart but didn't convert, or to just basically re-engage those high-value existing customers with a different ad or a different product. My point here is that having a clear goal and campaign structure can help you to tailor your ad sets within that overall Snapchat campaign, segmenting your target audiences and building creative for each of those campaign sets. So if you have the resources to do so, it's great to develop multiple creative options and different multiple ads within those sets so you can test them against each other. But don't worry, I'll touch on that a bit more in a second. But thinking about this stuff with intention will really help you develop the right ad creative effectively in Snapchat, which can drive better results at lower cost, because the more you can test these strategies and find out what works for you, the better you'll be able to shape the outcomes you're looking for on Snapchat. Now, as you start to break down your campaign into ad sets, one of the things that you need to take into consideration is your audiences and what they look like in terms of locations, demographics like age and interest or income. So competitor research is super useful here, and this is a tool you should use on Snapchat to find those specific audiences. So to do this, you want to take a detour to Audience Insights on your menu, and then check out the What Are They Consuming section, because this can give you some handy clues into the most popular publishers for each audience. And this can help you gain a lot of ideas as to what ad formats popular publishers are using and the trends that they're jumping on and the nature of the content that you can tap into. So this is just going to give you an idea of what to create and how to target those audiences, and just give you those vital clues instead of just starting, absolutely cold. So now when you get to the actual step of building your ad creative here, you can have a few options in terms of formats. There's the OG single image or video, which obviously has huge flexibility and is going to be one of the best ad formats for beginners. These can turn up in stories and spotlight ad placements. And then video is what most users expect in Snapchat, to be honest. And you can post a video that's anywhere from 3 seconds to 3 minutes. You don't need to necessarily use that full length to be effective though, because Snapchatters are often used to videos around 10 seconds or so. So it's actually quite important to keep things short and sharp on Snap Ads. It really depends. So you can think about the optimal length for your message and audience when you're creating a video ad, but be sure to overall keep it short and sharp. Then you have collection ads, which are amazing if you have a range of great looking products, or maybe if you have a range of different colors for your products, for example. Collection ads can also work really well if you have products that go together in a theme, say like camping gear or pool accessories or tech accessories, something like that for a particular product. This ad format, the carousel, is going to be super effective for conversions as the products are right there on the screen for people to scroll through and click on. We also have story ads, which are brilliant when you want to draw people into a product demonstration, beautiful product details, care tips, or other types of in-depth content. You can include a series of images or videos in one story ad, and then the Snapchatter can watch or tap through that series of content, which makes it ideal for longer form concepts. Story ads can help you to increase awareness with new audiences, but also to build engagement with those who might already be familiar with your ad. Next up is commercials. The difference with these is that the first 6 seconds are unskippable, so you can really capture that audience to begin with instead of them closing the app. That gives you not only a chance to get your message across, but to also build enough interest to keep people watching for longer. Then we've got AR filters, which adds an overlay to people's personal snaps, and the AR lenses, which are even more interactive and dynamic. And while filters and lenses are really powerful for engagement and they are more advanced, I do suggest avoiding these as a beginner because they're often more advanced, more complicated, and also more expensive. So we'll focus on those core ad formats that we talked about earlier. So now, what actually constitutes great creative when it comes to Snap ads? And this is a common question that I get across all my marketing tutorials. And while you can start with any of these ad formats that we just talked about, I'd recommend just getting started with a story ad or even just a video ad. Don't be put off by creating something a little longer because these story ads are actually relatively simple to put together in Snapchat in the ad platform itself, and they can drive a lot of impressions from the discovery page on the Snapchat app. So to do this, you'll go to the menu and then to create video, where you can either design from scratch or you can choose from a selection of free templates. These templates are awesome because they make it really easy to build something that's polished and set up for success. The controls are intuitive, and if you like more control for timing and details, you can just go to that menu in the bottom right-hand corner and then edit in design mode to gain more editing options. You can also upload video that you filmed yourself or upload UGC, which is user-generated content that you might have created or got from your customers, if you have the permission to use it, of course. User-generated content is so powerful in Snapchat, and this could be a review or an experience of your product or service that's been shared by a customer. Not only is UGC a great source of free media, but you can also really tap into that authentic word of mouth marketing that is so effective on Snapchat. So this native video editor in Snapchat called Snap Publisher may be all you need to start out, particularly when you're just creating a simple video. So to guide you step by step in how to do this, click the menu in the top corner and select Create a Video, then select Design from Scratch, then add the media by clicking the plus icon, or you can even import media directly from your website with the Import tab. Then you've got all the tools you need to create a quick video ad. You can add text, you can resize, you can scale, and you can also add layers. Then when you're done, just click Review Your Project and Create Ad to export and save the video. And there we go, we have a video ready to go and to set up as an ad. Pro tip though, eventually you want to improve your ad creative by using a web-based video editor or dedicated video editing tool like Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro. If you feel like you really can't manage to use these tools or these video editing apps, it's worth outsourcing this onto Upwork and finding a freelancer to create a video for you. And this is just going to help you create a much more effective ad because video ads is really important when it comes to Snapchat, and it's what most people will see. So you want to make sure that the video is as good as it can get. So this all brings us to the question of, how do you know if you're making a great creative or great video or not? Well, the only way to test that is actually to go ahead and, run it as an ad. So testing your creative is so important, and that's where the campaign lab can come in handy, because this is where you can help you set up split tests where you can compare variables. And I can't say enough about how important it will be to keep changing things up in the long term, adapting to what works. So you don't want to just stick with one ad. You want to create as many variants of that ad as possible and then just test them in campaign lab. But for now, let's come back to our advanced create option and select our objective. So from here, this is of course is going to depend on your business goals, but a lot of times it's going to be website conversions if you're looking to generate revenue. However, for the first time, we're going to select video views, and that's because this initial run will help give us the chance to retarget those who have already viewed our video to build that second step of the puzzle. So from here, make sure that you give the campaign a clear name so everything is labeled and neat so you can come back and revert to things pretty easily. And then from here, make sure that you have the status set as a draft until you're ready to publish it. This is quite important in case you have an issue with the ad or you need to revise some settings. You can do so before the ad actually goes live and is active. Now, if you're filling up for split testing, then I recommend switching this option on because you can start to compare different creative variables straight away and get a feel for what your audience responds to. In this case, we'll be split testing creative, but you can also experiment with other variables later, which is going to give you more insights based on performance. For now, we select creative, and then we'll move on to this screen here to choose our audience. We're definitely going to check that pixel is attached, and we'll leave the Snap Ad ID tracking for now. So the next thing you need to consider for your ad is budget and duration. Of course, this is quite important. And while I can't determine the budget for you, of course, I would suggest allocating at least $30 per day because that should be enough to help Snapchat run its exploration phase for your ad and find people in your audience who are receptive to that ad. I think Snapchat officially recommends allocating about $20 to $50 per day. Whatever you decide to spend though, the ad credit that we spoke about is really going to help your investment go a lot further. So don't sleep on that link below in the description box. Now, this goal either optimizes ad impressions for people in your audience who are more likely to watch for 2 seconds or for 15 seconds. You could select 2 seconds if you have shorter creative or plan to retarget those people later. But if your creative is longer, which ours is and will be, we'll choose to optimize towards the longer watches and aim for longer engagement. As a side note though, keep watching because Snapchat has a new optimization goal option for traffic campaigns that is totally worth knowing about too. And I'll talk about that in the ad optimization section of this video. Now from here, set your start date for at least the next day and never the same day. The reason being that ads can take up to a couple of days to be approved, particularly if you're new on Snapchat and you've got a new account. So it could take up to a few days to get your ad approved and you don't want the ad to be active before you know it. So as you start with your first ads, I'd recommend choosing auto bid right here rather than target cost or max bids because auto bid allows Snapchat to set the bid on your behalf to get the most goal actions for your settings. It's just a much easier way to get things started and we don't need to go into the granular details of the exact bid strategy right now. Now, while you can select placement automatically and have Snapchat find the audience for you, for the purposes of this first campaign, we're going to focus on getting our story ads on the discovery page, and that's what I recommend. So we can go ahead and select those between content options, and then for within content, we're going to select the relevant categories because that will help pinpoint our ad placement. Audiences are more likely to be receptive to, say, a makeup ad if they've been watching beauty content rather than sports or something like that. Next, brand safety filter is a relatively new AI-powered option on this ad platform, and this is useful if you want to have that extra level of safety and security for your brand. Snapchat is already a very brand safe app, but this option uses a tool to place your ads next to content that's past extra brand safety content moderation, and so it can affect your reach and costs, and the setting is only applicable for creator stories, so that's really a personal choice about whether you want to switch that on or off. Now, obviously here with location, you'll select the most relevant country or countries that apply to you. Even if you're selling globally, it does help to segment your audience by region or language so you can tailor your ad creative. It's also going to be really important to localize things like local slang and references. So that's something to be quite mindful of because, not everyone's going to understand Aussie humor, for example. But to start with, don't be afraid to keep your demographics a little broader to let the Snapchat algorithm find your audience, which it will do as long as it has enough ad dollars assigned to this campaign. And while we enter the age, gender, and language settings, it's worth checking this section here to make sure that we're going to have enough impressions to gather useful metrics. So as a general guide, I'd aim for a target audience size in the multi-millions with video views in the thousands rather than hundreds, because this will give you a lot more to go off. If you don't have a large enough audience at this point, you can go back and adjust budget or demographics and find that balance. So audience interests are quite important. This is pretty straightforward. I think Snapchat does a pretty good job in finding the right audience as long as you input their interests. So you can be quite broad here while we're testing and just input relevant interests into this section here. And then you can also create lookalike audiences that closely match your existing customers, either from an uploaded list or using data from your pixel over time. You can get really granular with devices and connection type if you need to, but generally I keep this to all. And those third-party tagging options are more advanced, so we'll skip over these for now. On our next page here is where we can enter our text that will show on screen. So the name, brand name, and headline are all going to show up as you type them. I'd suggest making the ad shareable, and I'll go over why a little bit later. Then Top Snap Media is where you can browse for or upload your actual creative, whether that's an image or a video. And post to public profile will usually be a yes, unless for whatever reason you want your ad to remain hidden without any extra exposure. Now, your attachment here is quite important to getting that conversion. So if we're driving website traffic, we want to select website and the most relevant and tempting call to action. If you're selling products, make sure that the website is your shop or your sales page rather than the home page. And don't worry about smart prefetching all those trackers here at this initial stage. And then we can move on to review and publish. Here's where you can check all those details one last time. Is your ad engaging and snappy? Are your stats looking right? If it's all good, then we're right to hit the publish button and get it reviewed by Snapchat. One key tip here is to avoid changes for at least the first 4 days to allow the delivery system to complete its learning phase, so it will be better equipped to find receptive people within your audience. Snapchat actually suggests here running your ad for a minimum of 15 days to make the most of that exploration phase, but 4 days is pretty standard for many advertisers. So now that we've published your first ad, it's a very good time to go to audiences in our menu. And then from here, we're going to get your audiences set up and saved, which will make it so much faster every time you want to add new campaigns. So Snapchat has updated these options since our last tutorial to make creating a new audience more intuitive. So you can upload a customer list or spreadsheet if you have one. And then these next 4 options are going to be relevant once your exploration phase is over and you have some data accumulating in Snapchat. Ad engagement will be particularly useful for this ad because you'll be able to go in and create really specific audiences based on how they've previously interacted with your ad. From there, you can go back and create a retargeting campaign that's purely designed for those people in mind. And that, my friends, is why it's so important to install that Snap Ads pixel. And then the final in those audience creation options is lookalikes, which, as I said before, you can either base off an uploaded list or from pixel data once that's started to develop. Lookalike audiences will help you find more of the same people who already know or love what you have on offer. So just make sure that you're spending time right here to set up those audiences so we can reach them, because that's going to help you create those meaningful and recurring touch points that can entice someone to go ahead and buy the product or download the app or whatever other action you want them to take through these Snapchat ads that we're creating. And of course, you're also going to spend a lot of time with your audience insights here and really diving into those because they help you both to design better ad creative and to surface new audience segments that you might be able to target later and set up ads for. So from here, whether you're completely new or a seasoned pro to Snap Ads, it's always worth knowing what's new in Snapchat ads because this can help you create more effective campaigns, but also potentially gain an edge over other competitors in the same space. So broadly speaking, we've seen refresh ad formats that have a more consistent look and feel across the platform, and there are clearer calls to action. That's all good for advertisers. Next, we have a new optimization goal here to consider. We created the first campaign for video views, but if you're making a campaign to drive traffic instead, there's a new optimization goal you can choose called landing page views. The goal aims to drive high quality traffic to your website by delivering ads to Snapchatters who are more likely to remain until your landing page fully loads. And this is quite important. While the default optimization goal is clicks, which means simply opening up the website, this new goal could help you improve your session volume and landing page views and potentially reduce bounce rates, which no one wants. And just in case you don't know what bounces are, it's when someone lands on your website page but immediately leaves, indicating that there's potentially low quality website traffic or there's something wrong with your website page. So ultimately, this goal option prioritizes better quality website traffic. And Snapchat mentions that split tests aren't compatible with the landing page view goal yet, though this option did show up when I tested it. However, if you can't see the option, that may be one reason as to why. There are also several new bidding offerings in the works that we need to keep an eye on. Snapchat has been testing a value optimization offering, which lets you bid on the value of purchases driven rather than just the quantity of purchases. And there's also a new way to bid on click-through conversions within 7 days, known as the 7/0 delivery optimization. And there are some new bidding capabilities specifically for mobile gaming advertisers. So that's all good and dandy, and they're probably things you want to check out once you've set up all your ads. There's also a few new ad formats. There's a new augmented reality option which allows for an all-day takeover of the lens carousel, but that's going to be really expensive. And as I mentioned, lenses are more advanced, but they can have a great impact if there's something you want to look into and have the budget for. And then Snapchat has been expanding its total takeover product, which guarantees the first impression over 24 hours across various ad products, including its first story, first commercial, and first lens. It's now possible to also guarantee a state level first story, which helps expand that reach massively. But just a note though that total takeovers is a really expensive ad format and it's usually just aimed for larger advertisers. Then Snapchat has rolled out version 3 of Conversions API, or CAPI, which is a little more advanced than the pixel itself. CAPI essentially allows you to send your pixel events to the Snapchat events in real time, so the platform can better optimize your ads according to web, app, and offline events at the same time. So when advertisers implement both the Pixel and CAPI, they tend to see much higher purchase values and much lower costs per purchase based on the data. So it's definitely worth looking into. And you can generate CAPI tokens from your business dashboard. So the last few things are going over your head a little bit. Don't worry, some of these settings are definitely for that next level, that more advanced Snapchat ads. But just know that Snapchat is consistently adding functionality to help advertisers. And lately, they've had a particular focus on encouraging SMBs to advertise. So that's you and I. Then finally, I have a few more additional tips for you. So this platform gives full screen experiences and users already have their sound on, which really gives you a really immersive experience to play with. Snapchatters are used to bite-sized stories, but they will keep watching when something intrigues them. So that first second or two is absolutely crucial on Snapchat more than anything. So consider how you can build creative that's dynamic in motion or in sound, or ideally both. And for that reason, the best ad creative might not look like an ad at all. Sometimes it's just UGC like we talked about. And it could be even behind the scenes in your warehouse or even a fascinating part of the manufacturing process. It might not just be gimmicky, but it is about sharing, those lively elements because that's what people are really interested by. And I touched on this before, but it really pays to think about how you can make your ad creative worth sharing. The two generations that overwhelmingly use Snapchat are Gen Z and Gen Y, millennials, and these users are way more likely to buy products and to recommend brands to family and friends on this platform. So another element here when building your creative is worth thinking about how interesting, useful, or just funny your creative is. If it gets shared with someone else, you potentially double your exposure for the same price, which is obviously a huge win. And don't forget to take advantage of the free ad credit again in the link below. So jump in, have a play around, and you might be surprised by how quickly you pick it all up. Drop the code word comment snapped so I know you made it to the very end of this long tutorial, and I'll give you a big like for watching the entire tutorial. Be sure to subscribe and follow along for heaps more marketing, business, and tech content. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.